1, 2, 3. What is going on? I am Angel Pinto, and I have the pleasure of introducing a momentous event, BHWH Leadership Academy podcast, a forum where professionals from all walks of life will gather, talk and debate important conversations in the educational sector. Without further ado, let's meet some of the guests for today's episode.
Jonathan Rodriguez,
Leo Coelho,
Khalid Brownlee,
Naima Sowell, Aisha Scott.
So basically, we've gathered here. This is our first podcast, and we felt it was very important for our first podcast to be kind of like an introductory episode. We've kind of gathered together to form a team. These are the board of directors for BHWH Youth Leadership Academy. I personally, quick personal statement, this was definitely a calling for me, and I wanted to go into this venture with some of the most important people that have crossed my path in my life. Each person sitting around this table right now, at some point or another, and continue to kind of help develop and push me to become a better person, a better professional, a better everything, so that, who else would I kind of pull into this organization than those individuals that helped me become who I am today and stuff like that. So everyone you hear talking in this podcast, trust me when I say they have a great importance to me, and they are very pivotal of who I am today right now and stuff.
I think it's important for viewers in the audience just to get to know a little bit about us. So I'm going to ask a couple questions. Let's freestyle it out. Whoever wants to answer first, go ahead, all right? So one of the first questions I'm going to do just to get the debate conversation started is, what or who inspired you to do what you do?
Let's go with the ladies.
Ladies first, right?
What inspires you to do what you do and stuff and be who you are?
I will first start off by saying my family. My mother plays a big role in my life. And then I would start off by saying being in the education field, the children and the families that we service on a regular day-to-day, just providing the platform for them to continue to be successful and grow. So that's who inspires me.
Family, okay.
I would say, first and foremost, it would be my sister. We, growing up was, difficult for us. And she was the one that, kind of raised me and helped me, develop as a person. And then I would just say the people and the team of people that I work with, as an adult, that I work with in this platform and in this field, definitely inspired me to continue on.
For me, Khalid, inspired me is first, I'll say my kids, because I want to be a great role model for them first. And then my job, I've been working with kids since I was 20, so my job is something that inspired me, and I just want to be a role model for my kids and their friends.
it's good. I'm going to let you finish, so I'm going to go.
Okay.
I can't lie. I didn't plan to work with kids. I tell everybody this all the time. I want to be a lawyer. I like to argue.
We all know that.
I like to argue. I always want to win a debate. Somebody gave me an opportunity, and then I found my purpose. And it's been 17 years, and to this day, I would not go to sleep if my kids ain't good. And I'm talking about all the youth. If I know a kid is good, I'm good. So that's my purpose, and I found it. So I'm good.
Like many of you guys, family's a big inspiration for me. Another reason, I guess, is the absence of just male role models in my life upbringing. I had a lot of female teachers, didn't connect with me, and I felt almost an obligation as I grew up to give back to, the experience that I had in these inner city programs and whatnot.
Yeah, and the weird thing is that I kind of share many of the same things that all of you, are talking about, right? Similar to Jonathan, when I graduated college, I went into the corporate sector and things like that. But I always felt a calling to help my community, help kids, and it was just something that I've always done. Even I didn't look at it as a job; I looked at it as a responsibility that I had and stuff, And so when a time came where I was able to kind of change that passion into a career, I went ahead and took that advantage and stuff, As the senior person here sitting down, I'm 43 years old. I grew up in Harlem. And the important thing was that I seen a lot, in Harlem and stuff, right? I kind of grew up through the crack epidemic, through when social services programs were being taken away, through the, gentrification and all these things. So, I kind of seen a lot through all of that and stuff. And so then I really feel that, I just kind of have a unique perspective of like, giving support to the community and understanding where we came from, where we need to go. And similar, like Angel said, role model, right? I always felt like I have a responsibility. I have 4 sisters. I always felt the weight and the responsibility of making sure that I'm a role model to them. I have a lot of, youth that I grew up with and around. I always wanted to be coaches for them and mentors. And I took that right into, my professional careers and stuff like that. And I was a mentor at in the work environment and all these different places. And, but I also was a learner a lot, so everybody at the table also taught me a lot through their passions and things like that as well, too.
So you're speaking about this new venture, this BHWH leadership program. What is your vision for the community that we all just mentioned as big inspirations for us?
Yeah, I think this is the perfect time in this country, right? We all know where the politics are at and the direction the country's kind of going a little bit. And so we need to kind of balance this out now, right? We need to now not rely on our, federal government and all these other things. We need to start to kind of really focus on our community and bettering our community and doing it from within, and then starting to build out from there and stuff like that. So, the vision that I have for the organization was really kind of just starting really grassroots and gathering a group of people that are really, passionate about this work, that are really, that they have a full-time commitment, to doing this and with youth and family and community, and starting from there. And I think the sky's the limit, to be honest with you, because once you get a group of very passionate people around and you get them together, there's nothing that could really kind of stop them and from achieving their goals and their missions and stuff like that.
Absolutely. I mean, before we spoke, it's obvious that we have people from all walks of life and experience in this group. Can some of us maybe speak about how their experience will shape what they bring to the table for BHWH?
Mm-hmm.
I can say for me, it was my experience in college that kind of shaped, where I was. And, in college, I wasn't sure, what I wanted to do. And, of course, everybody has, their set, role when they're in college. But, for me, it was just, exploring at that time. So once, I got into college and, I started, venturing out, it was, my experiences there that kind of led me to the work that I do now.
What specific things you did in college that maybe helped manifest your passion into what we're doing today?
Finding out that, picking my first major was nursing. And then once I, started nursing, I realized that wasn't for me. That's not what I wanted to do. So it's just being able to have the outlet to say, okay, yeah, this isn't for me. Now I get to explore something else. So then I started to venture into, the psychology field. And once I found out that was for me, then I took that into, nonprofit, and it worked for me. And it was something that chose me, actually.
Absolutely. Anybody else care to add their 2 cents?
Purpose. There's people that I know that are 70, 80 that don't know their purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even know what they're doing.
They don't even know what they're doing. They're living just to live and pay rent. Nah. I knew my purpose the minute I was like, okay, I'm going to resign because you don't want to give this kid what I'm trying to give him, right? When I knew that I'm going to quit because of a kid and my bosses don't agree with me, then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this for life. And that's my purpose. Make sure kids are good. And
what type of maybe skills, specific experiences that you had in your past that led you to today and what you could bring to the table?
Passion, man. You can't teach passion. Leo knows.
So in all aspects, through coaching, through teaching and mentoring.
I always say 3 P's, right? Passion, presence, and make sure you're persistent with kids, right? Always make
Somebody
sure
write that down. Somebody write that down. That's a gem.
But for real, I think kids know the truth. They see when you're not
and they feel it.
BSing. They can tell when you're real and you're not just a teacher. You're just not do this. No, they can tell. No, Naima cares about me, or Asia cares about me, or Leo cares about Khalid. They can tell who the real individuals are. And for me, it's I'm not here to show out. I'm here to be me, and I'm going to tell you the truth, and I have a purpose for that, and I believe in that. So.
Absolutely. What about yourself?
I would say growing up in the inner city community, and I was given an opportunity that a lot of my fellow peers wasn't. Realizing that there are resources out there, and there are people who would like to put their money and invest in certain students, and whether the politics take over or not, there is opportunities out there. And then I was fortunate enough to start working at the age of 15 with youth. So as a youth, I was able to see firsthand and work firsthand and continue to grow and advance my career.
Absolutely. Khalid, what about your experience?
My experience is I just want to get back to having kids able to do things. Like when I was growing up, I was in boys club, I was in the PAL, and all of these things was free. You know what I mean? I didn't have to pay. I didn't have to pay for none of that. You know what I mean? And then it was like block parties. You know what I mean? They blocked the streets off for us for all of that, and it's just something I want to give back to our community.
Absolutely.
Our kids, they don't know how it is to be kids. They trying to grow up so fast. It's just like we played Skelsies, tag, manhunt, hide and go seek. You don't see none of the individuals or the kids hanging outside doing that now. You know what I mean? They hanging outside. They stand on the corners. They doing whatever they're not supposed to be doing, or they playing basketball. That's it. Or they in the house playing video games. I want to bring fun back.
Absolutely.
Back to the kids.
Without the electronics. Now, Leo, your trajectory and your resume is a little bit different. You coming from the corporate side of things. How can your experience and from there transition to here?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to when I started working in the nonprofit, I went into Harlem Children's Zone, right? And so that was a really good transition for me because the Harlem Children's Zone, I used to tell people all the time, it's a nonprofit organization that runs like a corporation, right? So everything's about data, everything's about the numbers, making sure this and those things and stuff like that. So the skill sets that I developed in the corporate world really worked out well for me when I went into the Harlem Children's Zone, right? And so then I was able to kind of really bridge those skill sets, like understanding, because a lot of people go into this work with a lot of good intentions, and they want to do a lot of good. But you have to be able to really have some skill sets around this work and stuff. You gotta really be able to sit down and look at what are the needs, how do we address needs, how do we get the most out of funding, how do we get the most out of staffing, how do we get the most out of the time that we have with these kids and stuff like that. How do we develop the staff under us to really have an impact on the kids and stuff like that. So all of those things are important, and you have to develop a lot of skills in order to be able to really have an impact on this work and stuff, So, all the experience that I learned, from the corporate sector, just studying leadership, my undergrad and my grad is in leadership. So, I know a lot of people say, leadership is kind of something that you're born with and stuff like that. I do agree that there are some traits that you're born with, but you got to study leadership. You got to be able to, you got to know how to inspire people. You got to know how to be, how to speak well. You how to be an orator. You how to inspire people. How to, and then you got to do some self, analyzing yourself as a person, right? Because you have to be able to empathize with people. You got to be able to look at them and understand what they're going to, and what's going on in their lives for you to be able to support them, manage them, to push them to make themselves better and stuff like that. So. There's a lot, and I'm constantly trying to always consistently develop and everything, and I never look at it to a point where I feel like I've reached the point of where I can be as a professional or as where I want to be. Like I always continue to strive to continue to develop and be better and stuff.
Be great.
And using those ideas into this program that you're creating, and I know much of our experience deals with nonprofits. What is going to separate BHWH from other nonprofit organizations in the city?
Well, the first thing that's going to separate them is the people who are sitting around this table and stuff. I think a lot of times I sat back for a while. I watched organizations get started. I've watched people start things and I studied them. And what I noticed was that people had a lot of good intentions. People had a lot of good directions. But you can't do this work by yourself. The mountain that you are up against every day, it's not work that you can do on your own and stuff. So you need to really put a team around you that can help you, really kind of approach this work from all different type of directions. I almost kind of look at it as like when Barack went and won his presidency. He's just not all of a sudden like, I'm the president, I'm the smartest guy in the room. No, he went out and then he went and sought out some of the most intelligent people that he can find.
Absolutely.
He even brought in you know, people that were like, you could almost say like competitors and stuff, right? He ran against Hillary Clinton, but then he brought it in as his, you know, on his staff and stuff. Because he understood that she's one of the smartest people and the most experienced people in this country and stuff like that. So this work is big, it's a lot, it's hard, but I think what this organization can kind of separate itself from a lot of the other ones is the people around, and then also our approach to the work, right? So there's a lot of people that want to do a lot of good, but they just don't know how to do it, right? And and I think what our organization is going to do is take the skill sets and the things that people can do and allow them to give them a platform to do it, right? Like, there's people out there that want to service their, you know, community, but their biggest skill set is cooking, and they don't understand, okay, how can I service my community, but what I really do well is cooking? Well, you know what? Let's work together. Let's have an event where we're doing some fundraising, and you can do some of your cooking, and we can invite, you know, families from shelters and things like that and stuff. So at that point, not only are you servicing the community, but you're doing it through something that you're passionate about, right? And I think that's the goal for us, not just getting people to come in and do what we want to do. No, what do you want to do?
Absolutely.
How do you want to help the community? All right, now we're going to help you do that and stuff.
And I think that's one of the great things about BHWH. I think in a short time we already have garnered some momentum, and we getting the ball rolling with some things. Maybe Khalid, can you speak about the event that you helped facilitate with the sneakers in elementary school?
Oh, with the sneakers, I got a couple of people I know, and they reached out to me and asked, because they know I work with kids my whole life, so they reached out to me and just asked, like, do you know some kids that deserve sneakers that's in our inner city? So I reached out to Leo, and we got a connection with Foot Locker and an up and coming artist that's doing music, and we put that together for some of our inner city Harlem kids that's on the road to get some sneakers and have a privilege of meeting somebody.
And not just any sneakers.
Right.
We're talking about the brand new Concords, the brand new J's, the Concords,
it
man.
wasn't just any sneakers, you know what I'm saying? It was the Michael Jordan patent leather Concords that just came out.
No, that actually were coming out 3 days later.
They got it before.
But the kids that we were working with actually got them 3 days before.
Don't be humble.
Don't be
humble.
So our kids are walking around with it.
I suggest you follow the Instagram page so you can see the smiles of some
humble.
of these kids and stuff like that. And continue talking about events. Jonathan, you have a great event tomorrow. Would you care to shine a little bit of light on that?
Okay. We have some folks from the UK, right? UK? New Zealand, Australia.
Oh, we're doing it big, man. We're doing it big.
They're coming around.
High school team.
Good connection, good networking. Leo, myself, we got in an email chain, and folks said they wanted to come over. They wanted to, play basketball. And we opened our doors. We providing a workshop tomorrow. We got refs giving them an inside look on the USA basketball,
and just
building
that relationship.
Building that relationship for other youths to know, and then for our kids to see what other kids go through, right? What that other side looks like. So when they get together, it's just gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful.
I can't wait. Tomorrow, do you want to shed some light on the details, the date and time?
4 o'clock p.m. We got a New Zealand team against a United States team, but before that, they're gonna have lunch. We're gonna do a workshop. We're gonna do icebreakers. I'm gonna make sure
not
they
just
gel.
basketball.
It's not basketball. It's not basketball. Basketball is the carrot, but everything else is going to be character building. We're going to workshop. We're going to talk to each other. We're going to trust each other. We're going to fall in each other's hands, to make sure that they understand that whenever we go, wherever we go, we're going to have each other's backs.
And this is just almost 2 months that we're getting the ball rolling in some of these things. Aisha, what type of events do you see BHWH bringing to the table maybe this summer or springtime?
I definitely foresee some block parties,
okay.
Some community service events.
Oh, we're going to turn up. For real.
We just want to show our children and the youth a good time and let them know that there are outlets and they don't have to just run to the streets, right? They can run to the streets and run into us at the same time. We just want to give back, and so we're moving.
Absolutely. I got to be on the lookout for the summer. Leo, is there any other things that you have planned for the summer that?
Yeah, we have a few things. So we have a huge Father's Day event that we're kind of trying to plan out. We're trying to put together like a whole Father's Day weekend where there's going to be a panel discussion around fatherhood, fatherhood in our communities, just open discussion about, how, society views fatherhood and how Black and brown fathers are viewed at, when it comes to, fatherhood and kind of like tearing down some of those misconceptions about what fatherhood is for us and stuff. There's always that kind of running theme is that Black and brown fathers are not around and stuff like that.
There's some good guys.
Right. But if you really start to look at some of the statistics and stuff like that really start to shed light, Black and brown fathers are actually some of the fathers that are around the most and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Because they they are ones that take on blended families. A lot of male figures also are father figures in many families and stuff like that. So just because they don't fall into the tradition of married, 2.5 kids, dog, house with a white picket fence, that doesn't technically mean anymore that the father is absent and stuff, right? All right, so that's what people have to understand, that's not what in our in our communities, fatherhood it takes different shapes and stuff like that. So we are gonna really try to like Aisha said, we're trying to get a block party together, in the Bronx and in Harlem and Washington Heights to really kick off in June. Celebrating fathers. We're gonna have that panel, for fathers to be discussing. We're gonna start off our own basketball tournament right here in the Bronx called the Katona Park Classic, where we're gonna be targeting like 14 and under kids in an area where they really don't have those outlets and stuff. So we're gonna start off with that and then kind of branch out to maybe Harlem and Washington Heights as well too and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things coming down the pipeline. We're gonna get rolling on everything. Here at the podcast, you're gonna be hearing a lot of it. So just stay tuned and just keep monitoring what we're putting out there.
I'm looking forward to all the great things we're doing in the community. Naima, please shed a little bit of light as what you plan on doing with the college preparation process, and what type of events you got planned for our kids on that time.
So I'm really excited about that. That's something that's really important to me as far as experiencing college. Giving our children opportunity to experience college. Some of the things is like helping them with financial aid process, which is very difficult for them and their parents. Other things is actually doing visits to colleges, actually getting them the experience. So it's just like weekend retreats, things of that nature. So it gets them excited about something that they otherwise wouldn't know about. Right, the exposure part of it. Part of it for me was just like, my growing up, it was like, for me, it was just like, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but it was just like, I know I didn't want, to become the person that had 5 kids, different baby fathers, things of that nature. And that was like my drive, just knowing I didn't want to do that. And I knew college was that way. So I want to give them the opportunity to know that college is what's going to direct them into, their path.
That's great. I think it's beautiful that we have almost all fields, covered for BHWH. We have the college, we have communities, we have the sportings, we have give backs. Doing a great job of covering all those things. I want to switch the tempo a little bit right now and introduce maybe a little question game, and I want you guys to highlight a little bit about your personality and character traits, something that stands out about you, right? So the question is going to be, what kind of student were you in high school? I see Jonathan shaking his head already. I don't know if you guys can see. Shaking his head.
Yo.
Yikes.
I strive for attention. I didn't have a male figure in my life. My dad was locked up when I was 8. The feds came down with the ropes and all that, right? And mother wasn't around. So I strive for attention. I didn't realize it until I was maybe 14, and I ran away a couple times, and ACS, and the whole shebang. I had the whole shebang, right? I got beat up with baseball bats and chains, but that pushed me to say, wait, I gotta break this cycle. I'm not gonna beat kids. I'm not gonna not be a good dad. I'm not gonna be, missing. I'm gonna be there for people, and to this day, I work with kids and I'm gonna be there for them more than I'm gonna be there for myself. And Leo hits me yo, Jay, take care of yourself. He hits me, right? Yo, Jay, you good? You can't be good to everybody else if you ain't good for yourself, right? And to me, I think that's my default. I'm gonna be good for everybody. I wanna make sure every kid I come across is okay, because I don't want to be in the same cycle that, you know, older generations, they didn't know no better. They go off traditions, and traditions don't mean that it's true. You just going off what somebody told you you're supposed to do. That doesn't mean it's right. So
I can see that. And it came back full circle. Look at you now, man.
Look at me now, right?
Look at you now. Leo, shine a little bit light. What type of student you were?
Yeah, what's crazy, I think I was kind of the opposite of what I totally am right now. I wasn't like somebody that was pushing myself, you know, like I wanted to play sports because, you know, I was athletic. In high school, I was like already like 6'3", 215 pounds, jumping through the roof and stuff like that. I was super athletic already. So
just picture him without a mustache right now, right? And that's Leo at 16.
So I was like, that's what I want to do and stuff. And so I didn't push myself much if it wasn't for that and stuff, you know. And academically, I was like, okay, what do I have to do not to fail? Get more than a 65? Okay, I'm gonna get a 66. You know, and so that's all and I heard teachers say like, yo, why did you just do the bare minimum, you know, every time and stuff like that? Like it looks like you could be so much better and stuff. And I was just like, why? Like, what for and shit? You know, all I wanted to do was remain eligible so I wouldn't, you know, get off the team and stuff, you know. And so there wasn't that much, you know, I wasn't pushing myself as much as I am now and stuff. But some of that I think had to do a little bit with not having that male figure in my life and stuff, and not having somebody kind of like pushing you and saying like, nah, you have a lot of potential. You could be this, you could be that and stuff, you know. And so that's why now it's like, I see the potential in everybody. I see the potential in students. I see the potential in employees and people that walk through the door. Absolutely. Like, a person could think that they're not worth anything, but in my eyes, each person has some sort of potential that I can try to bring out of them and stuff like that. Because, you know, if I can get from where I was to where I am now, I'm like, then everybody else could be, you know, it could be great, you know, as well and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So. I was just totally the opposite of where I am now and stuff, you know, and I think that was just a growth process for me and stuff, you know, and that also plays a lot into my role as a father and stuff, you know, like my sons know that, you know, I'm in their corner, like whatever goes down, I got your back, yo, and you could be great, you could be whatever, like, you know, and I'll strive to do whatever you need, like, and so a lot of it was about, you know, being the person and being the things that I didn't have in high school and stuff.
Khalid, same question for you.
In high school, I was a follower. I was a follower. I really didn't do bad in class because basically I didn't do bad in class, but I didn't go to class. So, you know, so my 9th through 11th, my 9th through 11th grade year, I was really a follower, and I think me being a follower in high school made me a great leader now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
So now I just want the kids.
Let's start something new. Whenever you get a good response, let's
teach
pop
our
out.
kids to learn how to be leaders young and not be followers. So
Absolutely.
that's what held me back in school. Was I was a follower.
I got you, Naima. What about yourself? How were you as a high school student?
Actually, looking back, when I have those, you know, reflections of looking back where I was to where I am now, total opposite. I was I don't want to say troublemaker, but I was not doing so well.
Interesting.
I definitely was the little turn. I was the turn up back then. Wasn't doing so well in class, but didn't have teachers that really pushed me. I guess, you know, they kind of gave up, you know, after a while. I did have one that just didn't give up on me, though. She really pushed me.
I bet you remember her name.
Oh, I do. Miss Rabinowitz. Miss Rabinowitz. And I wish she gets to hear this because they need to know, like, you know, a lot of teachers don't get to, you know, hear about, you know, what they did and how they helped and inspire someone, you know, later on in life. So it was definitely inspirational what she did. But I was... Yeah.
But look at you now, right? Look at you now.
But yeah, so that inspiration is kind of the thing that I want to help those who are, you know, troubled, you know, where they are now to kind of get to, you know, not seeing that I can actually be great when I grow up.
Absolutely. Aisha, last one.
I think for the most part I've been pretty consistent. The only thing I would say is that I wasn't given the opportunity to decide if I wanted to be an example, right? I had to be an example. I grew up in a single parent household. I was the oldest of 3, and it was a lot of pressure. So I started working at the age of 15 just so I could help my mom out, and although she told me not to, that wasn't an option, right? So I started working so that I could get my own money, so that it'd be less of a hassle for her, and she only had to worry about my brothers and my sister. So a lot of times I would involve myself in a lot of activities at school, and I was senior class president, and just doing things so that I could kind of stand out, so I could lead the way for my brothers and sister. And so I didn't really have room to mess up. I mean, I wanted to, and there were times that I did, but I didn't really have that choice or that opportunity. So I think as I got a little older, I started to, rebel. Like, no, I'm tired of being the good.
It's my time now.
But it doesn't work out so well in your late 20s and your 30s, man. And you're like, miss, you got to get it together.
Yeah.
So I just think that it all works out, right? There's no mistakes. That doesn't work out for your best interest in the end.
Absolutely. I think one common thread that we all shared, and is breaking the cycle, us not being the same person that we were 10 years ago in high school, even elementary for that, a couple years for that matter. This question is for the whole group. You guys can just chime in. At what point did that switch went off in your head? It was like, yo, can't be moving like this no more. Got to do something. I want to make a mark. Yeah.
Well, for me, when I was about 16 years old, my mom was like, yo, I'm going back to Dominican Republic. I'm taking your twin sisters with me. You on your own, yo. Like, you need to hold it down and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, I got it.
You got it.
So at 16, you was by yourself?
Did
you really have it?
And I ain't had shit.
But you said you
I was like, I got you, then. Go ahead, go do what you gotta go do and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And that was like an eye opener and shit. Like, oh shit, okay, then let's go do what we gotta go do then and stuff. And it was an experience. You struggle, you go through things, you whatever. But you come out the other end and you feel good about yourself and stuff. You're like, all right, I got past it, so now let's move on and do what we gotta go do.
Not to cut you off, but if our words start becoming slurry a little bit, it's because Naima just poured some concoction in our cups. I have to just,
keep everybody happy.
Advisory warning beforehand. Anybody else want to chime in on that? Like, when did that light bulb switch for you, John?
Be super honest. I think that past generations like they put fear. Like they always be like, yo, I'm your uncle, I'm your dad, I'm gonna beat you up. Like, it came to me when I got a beat down, and I was like, wait, I'm supposed to love you. I'm supposed to respect you because of who you are, not because you're scaring me or because you're gonna beat me up. And like, it hit me, and I was like, wait, I don't want to put fear on nobody. I want people to love me and respect me. So when I say show up, they're not gonna say, oh, he gonna beat me up. No, I'm gonna show up because
you care
I
about
like that
it,
character, and listen, that shit beats anything in the world. No matter what you do, if they believe in you and how you stand and what you stand for, I could turn up 24/7. If I tell 25 kids tomorrow, show up, they're gonna show up. They're gonna be there.
We've seen it all.
They're gonna be there because they believe in me and what I'm standing for, and that's it. Like, no fear, love.
I think
love everybody.
Thinking about myself and when that light bulb switched, like, I can't pinpoint a certain time. I just feel like it just happened, right? We have these roles, and sometimes we don't understand, like, the gravity of the role. And something as simple as group leader, right? Like, that's usually the first position we get in this nonprofit. And it's not just a group leader. You're a big brother. You're an uncle. You're a stepdad. You're a provider, and all these things. And at a certain point, I'm just like, I remember one 6-7-year-old called me dad by accident. I'm just like, and it bugged me out for a second. I'm just like, why is he calling me dad? But when you provide that love, it's just like you almost fill that role. And once I understood the role that I play for some of these people's lives, I was like, oh, I can't play around with this. I can't give you false advice. I got to take this serious because I remember what advice they told me. And I'm sure we all can pinpoint one person in our lives. Naima, you were talking about a big inspiration to you, the teacher who pushed you. Do you care to shed a little bit of light about her and how that helped you, your teaching styles, your guidance, and where you are now?
you could tell she was someone just, fresh out of college, just, started getting her certificate. So this was very new to her. She was very young. This was new to her, so she was still, in that mode where it's just like, I'm here for, the kids that, I'm servicing at this moment. She, she didn't have to. She probably was there for a couple of years and probably was going to move on to like a private school, at any moment in time. But it was just something that drove her to say, I see this student and, I see the potential in this student. So I'm going to continue to, strive. And it's just like as much as, I have my block up and my wall and, probably disrespected her a couple of times and things of that nature. She still drove. She still, continued with that.
Was there anybody else in your guys' lives that maybe played a big role and they don't know right now, but thinking about it now, like, wow, if Miss Lopez hasn't pushed me to read these books, then wouldn't be where I'm at. You guys have any experiences, something like that?
For me, I would say it's someone called, his name is Mr. William Norris. And like I mentioned, I started working at 15 years old, and as Leo mentioned, with the Harlem Children's Zone. And I initially started working there with the summer youth position. And it was the summer of me getting ready to turn 15, so I guess I was 14 and a half. And I started off as a summer youth part-time worker. He liked where I worked and my skill set, and he actually offered me a position to work in the evening time. And he had a conversation with my mom. My mom was like, no, I don't want to work.
That is so rare for somebody so young.
He had a conversation with my mom, and he was like, let her work. If she keeps her academics up, my mother said, as soon as your academics drop, you don't have no job.
Priorities.
So that was motivation. I'm like, I got to keep my grades up because I want my money.
Absolutely.
But like you said, it's rare. And he saw something in me, and I've been there since I was 15 years old up until I was 28 years old, off and on.
Mr. Norris, right?
Mr. Will Norris.
Shout out to Mr. Norris. Since we're talking about people who played important roles in our lives and maybe little pieces of wisdom, you guys should care to share any quotes or any piece of advice that somebody gave you along the way that resonates with you to this day, and whenever times are hard, and we all know we have those kids who are very hard-headed and challenging. And that's the word. Colorful. I love that word. And you use that quote to make things go by and just justify it.
I'm going to tell you what a teacher told me. I was 11th grade or 12th grade, and 9/11 had just happened. And in high school, I wasn't a rebel, but I was calm and chilling because my credits was up. I had my regents and blah blah blah. The teacher told me, "Yo, you need to be like one of them horses that run a race and be in a derby." And I looked at him and I said, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "Bro, put the blinders on. A horse in a race just looks straight.
Tunnel vision.
There's tunnel vision." And when he told me that, he said, "Yo, you're distracted. You gotta be able to run your own race and put the blinders on." After that, I promise you, I do whatever I want when I want because I'm on my own. I'm not running against nobody. I love everybody, but I got my blinders on, and people got to be able to do that. Absolutely. If you can't do that, then you're going to get lost in the sauce.
And it's funny how it took that analogy to something that you probably already knew in the back of your head. Absolutely.
But he had to tell me that.
Khalid, what piece of advice or something that somebody told you along the way that still resonates with you today, brother?
I don't have a piece of advice that anybody told me. All I have is my vision. I just pay attention. And I pay attention to people that's close to me and what they have done and what I want to mimic. So like my cousin, he went to Penn State. He went to Ohio State. He a dean at a college in Boston. So then, Leo, everybody else that's around me that's doing well, that's what I just pay attention to, and I just get my energy and
I think the key point in what you said is just surrounding yourself with successful, hardworking individuals. And they say you hang out with a millionaire, eventually you're gonna become a millionaire. So I firmly believe that. What about you, ladies? Is there any piece of advice maybe somebody told you along the way that still resonates with you today?
I think for me, being supervised by Leo and Jonathan was a big inspiration. I can't even say just like one thing that they told me. It was many things that they told me always, and they never stopped believing in me. So it was just their words.
And consistency.
Very consistent. Very consistent.
What about yourself, Aisha?
I have two. They're short though. One is on a spiritual level, and it's train up a child in the way he should go, and he would never depart from it.
Please shed a little bit light. That sounds real deep.
Exactly.
I might put that as a Facebook status.
If you teach them while they're young, and young could mean, it doesn't mean 2 years old, it could be 20.
25.
If you teach them when they're young, and you teach them the right way, and you teach them the way they should go, they won't depart from it. They'll always remember that. Even if it takes, like Naima mentioned with her teacher, even if it takes 20 years later for her to realize how big of a role model that person was in her life, they'll remember it at some point. Absolutely. And the other was, it takes a village to raise a child.
Amen.
It's not going to happen overnight. It's not one thing that I can do. It's going to take me. It's going to take Naima. It's going to take Khalik. It's going to take Leo. It's going to take Jonathan. It's going to take Angel. It's going to take the community, and it's going to take many, many people and many, many tries and many, many chances. So I just think if we just don't give up, it'll happen.
Absolutely. I think one thing that ties us up, we all work professionally with each other, and with Leo. Leo, you having a position of a leader, I know you're very conscious of what you tell your employees in the leadership and trying to mold them. What are some things that maybe you can shed light to the viewers as a leader that helped you motivate and cultivate the group that we have here today?
I'll be honest with you. One of the things that we have all in common, that I have in common with each and every one of the people in here, is that we all went through very difficult times together and stuff, right? And you would be surprised how
Everybody's laughing.
Everybody just nodded. I think we got a chance to that. We're chance to that.
Y'all don't understand. Y'all don't understand.
And you have to understand that, that's when you really, really, really start to understand, who you in that foxhole with, when you are going through those difficult times and stuff, and you look at that person like, yo, we all we got, we all we got and shit, and every single person, at this table and stuff, and I wouldn't do it justice unless I kind of went around the room, all right? So, okay, let's go. I'm gonna start with Jonathan, right? I'm gonna start with Jonathan. Jonathan, we were both assistant directors.
Yes.
We were both, trying to run this building.
We started off bad.
We were trying to run this building that nobody ran before. It was a building. It just opened. Nobody knew. It was a school in the middle of the projects and stuff, right? And this is something that's never been done before. People around the country were looking to see if this was going to actually work, because nobody ever opened up school in the middle of a housing projects and stuff like that. Kindergarten through high school and stuff, So there was so much stuff. There was so many things happening that we had to just experience together. That there were just nights going home late at night, not knowing what's going, is this real? Is this really happening and stuff? And we just really kind of had to bond together and stuff, and had to make this thing work. And that's how you really know, who really has your back and stuff, With Khalik, I remember getting my first, opportunity to work at Promise, and I tell people all the time, when they told me to go to Promise and go run the middle school program, when I was going up the elevator that first day, y'all guys ever saw the opening of Lean On Me? It's like Welcome to the Jungle and shit, and the locker, and then the whole.
I need to add that to my library.
Yo, when the elevator opened up, that shit was like Welcome to the Jungle, yo. I was like, I almost didn't step out the fucking elevator.
Let me go back downstairs.
I was like, nah, yo, they want me to run this shit, yo.
Let me go back downstairs.
I was like, nah, yo, that shit was bonkers. And I was looking in the adults' eyes, and they were looking at me like, help us, please. And I was like, Mr. Clark, help us, please. I was like, oh my gosh. So I said, you know what? All right, let me just take this day one day at a time. And Khalik came in, yo, and I was there working, and there was things that he helped me with that I didn't even know I needed help with. It was like this the data stuff, the managing, the structure, and all this stuff. Like, by the time I looked, he already had documents set up. He had this set up. He had formats. He had this. He had that. I'm like, oh snap! And then I was able to continue to do everything I'm doing, but he had everything else under control and stuff. When I went over to the high school as the dean, and Asia was there, and it was like I was stepping into this was my first experience in the school system though, because I was always with after school and stuff. So now this is my first experience with school leadership and stuff like that, and I was just like, wow, this is crazy, yo. Like there's a lot going on. Like the actual school system is like crazy, yo. Like people don't even understand what it takes to run a school and stuff. And Aisha was quote unquote like the receptionist, secretary, whatever. Basically, she was the fucking principal of the school and shit, yo. She was deciding everything that was happening and shit. I was like, hold on.
She was running the show.
She was running every aspect. Everything from what furniture gets ordered, what books get ordered, what this, what this. I was like, oh my God. Like, so Aisha quickly put me up to speed on what everything was, how everything run, how everything happens. And I was like, okay. So then I had to step right into that and stuff, you know. Naima was with me on the high school and middle school floor. And I tell people all the time, like, yo, running middle school and high school, after school, when you have actually goals to meet, and you still have to actually put data in front of people saying that you accomplished this, that you accomplished that, but yet at the same time, kids is wilding out, doing this, doing that, visits. Yo, then all of a sudden, you got a site visit. Everything got to get set up because you got to do the dog and pony show. You got to do the dog and pony show and everything, and everything got to be on point. And kids got to be walking around like robots, like, hey, how you doing and stuff. Naima was the person that I went to and stuff like that to be able to do all of that stuff, to be my, my hands, my feet, my everything, on the floor and stuff like that. Then I went to Bronx Haven. Yo, let me tell you something.
Eastside House.
Yeah, I went to Eastside House.
I grabbed him. I said, come over.
And
get over here. I said, get over here. I need you to be a director. Let's go.
This is Bronx Haven.
Shed some light, please. Shed some light to our time in the Haven.
I took on a position of being a co-leader of a high school.
It taught you a lot.
That was
a lot, bro.
That was like a last stop for kids, yo. Like all those kids that you went through high school with that got kicked out. That you like, damn, after ninth grade you never saw.
We got those
again.
kids.
And then
8 years.
And then you like, damn, like I never saw that person again. All those kids, they go to the Bronx Haven and stuff like that. Those are the type of kids that came to Bronx. So these were kids that were on their last opportunity. They were about to age out. We talking about 20, 21-year-olds.
Kids.
They got kids. They got their own families. But they trying this last opportunity to get a high school diploma. You know what I'm saying? So they coming in here. These are not your regular traditional kids. These people are coming in here with bills. They're adults. They got issues. They got
the South
problems.
Bronx, man.
In the South Bronx, in my Haven.
The poorest congressional district in the United States. That is a fact.
So I tell people every time, that is ground zero of community service work. Ground zero and stuff. If you make any type of impact in that place, then that's generationally. So I stepped into that thing and I was like, wow, I think I may have bit off a little more than I can chew here or something. You know what I'm saying? Because I walked in there on my first day and the kids was like, who the fuck is this?
Straight up.
Who the fuck is this?
Hey, yo, he was calling me like, yo, Jonathan, I need to vent.
I was like, wow, how you doing? I'm Leo Coelho, your new director of school. Who the fuck are you? I was like,
he was calling me once a week. Yo, I gotta vent. I said, what you mean you gotta vent? Nigga, you a director?
No. I was like, really? This is the population and shit, right? So I couldn't get through none of that. But Angel, came through and he became like my partner. We impacted so many kids, so many lives. By the time we got I was only there for 1 year. 1 year, but the amount of impact that we made in that 1 year. There's families that are gonna feel that change generationally. There's kids that we worked with that they were the first kids in their entire family to ever graduate out of high school, bro. Ever grad. I'm not talking about people that just came in from another country 2 days ago. I'm talking about people that been living here, been living in the South Bronx for years, and none of them have a high school diploma. But when Angel and I started working together and started working with them, they graduated with a high school diploma and stuff. So those were some of the most challenging times that have kind of like built who I am, who I've been, and I wasn't able to get through those things without the people around at this table right now and stuff,
True story. The common thing is belief, right? Like I believed in him, he believed in her, he believed in you. The minute he walked out the elevator, he saw you. I would not be.
Facts.
You would not be here if he would not go to Eastside House.
That's
If
a
I
fact.
would have not been like, yo, Leo, I
Right,
need
right.
you to come
Yeah.
be a director and give you a reference because I believe in
But
what I
hold
saw.
on, Aisha was in Eastside House too, though.
Yeah, no, she was.
A word.
Yeah, she was.
10 months.
For 10 months.
Yeah,
Yeah, but hear me. That belief system that we believe in each other and how we trust each other, like, yo, yes, I'm gonna put my, go.
Yeah.
I'll put my name on his. Like, I know Leo could do that. Go run that My Haven crazy jungle. I'm in this jungle. I know he can do that.
Right.
He met you through that.
it.
Y'all met in the jungle. Y'all was like, yeah, we in the jungle.
Right.
And look,
And we thrive.
and we thrive,
man.
bro, because we
Yeah.
believe in each other. That's amazing. That goes. I mean, like,
Another
it's
thing,
heavy.
another thing that ties us all up is just the experience in the inner city, right? We wouldn't be having these colorful stories if we worked in Upper West Side or something like that. Please, do you guys see yourself working in any other community? Do you guys see yourself working in an uptight, you know what I mean, wealthy organization?
Wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be fun. If I went upstate or Poughkeepsie, which is, by the way, paying like $150,000 for what we do, but it's not about the money, right?
Absolutely.
It's never about the money. It's too easy. It'd be too easy, right? Yeah, I'd be bored. Like if I go and a kid does not have an issue and I don't have to give him a coat or have to find a way to give him money because his Pampers for his baby, or like if it's not drama and a challenge, I'm not gonna have fun. I'm not gonna do it.
I need it.
I think
It's adrenaline.
I think of the word rewarding, right? Because a little tad bit back to what Leo said, where we worked at is the poorest congressional district. Like I think about Alabama, I think about all those places in the South. It's the Bronx. So you got to think about all the factors that affect these kids and just the timelines that are just messed up growing in these environments, and giving back, helping one kid graduate, man, it's worth 100 kids in an Ivy League school
People
graduate or
might not
something like
understand
that.
what that means, the
Nah.
poorest congressional district.
They
What
don't
that,
understand.
what that means for the listeners who might not
Yes,
understand
please.
is that
Congressional.
what it's saying is that there is no other place in the country that has a more populated people that are under the poverty level
Yes.
than in the South Bronx. So I know people thinking like, but yo, in Mississippi, they that's crazy over there. They poor, and over here they poor. But the thing is that you gotta think about you got a population, the density. So you talking about a square like 5 square blocks of the South Bronx. It's like the equivalent of like an entire city, some places down south and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So what you're saying is that there's no place in this country that you can find more poor people than in the South Bronx and in areas in Harlem and stuff like that. None.
I'll tell you this much, Angel. I could win the lottery right now, and I'm pretty sure everybody's gonna agree with me. Nothing feels better than when you see a kid you used to work with, and they be like, "Hey, Mr. Jonathan, hey," and they respect you and they show you love, or the parents say, "Hey, Jonathan." That is the most rewarding thing I've ever felt in my life. Like when I walk in Harlem, and I'm safe.
Yeah.
How I feel safe in Harlem. Because I know a mother, I know a grandmother. Oh, that's Mr. Jonathan.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most rewarding thing in the world. When the kid looks at me, you used to be my counselor or the coordinator when I was in 3rd grade. What? And now you're in high school, you're in college?
And you
Yeah,
remember.
scholarships,
And you
doing all
working with
this.
kids? And I'm your...
And where Harlem Children's Zone is, I was a peacemaker in 2006. I had like 2nd grade, and now them kids is sitting. Them kids are adults working in
Working in Harlem Children's Zone. Looking at you like, you taught me. Yeah.
Right.
That's
That's
dope,
the
man.
best
It's
reward
just
in
the
the
circle-
world.
the circle
That's the
of
best-
life. It's
Yeah,
just
that's the best
crazy.
reward in the world.
Absolutely.
Forever.
I mean, all right, so we wrapping up the end of the discussion. Is there anything Leo left that we should do to shine a little bit light on the organization BHWH?
No, I think the biggest thing is that, we can't do this on our own, right? And we need support. We need bodies. We need all of these things and stuff like that. And just pay attention to the next couple of years. the country is in a funny place right now, right? So like,
funny? It's funny.
Yeah, it's in a funny place right now.
It's a good
right?
word.
It's a good word.
It's a good word.
Ain't
Funny is a good word right now.
Like how? Funny like a clown?
Don't shoot me now. Joe Pesci, don't shoot me now.
It's in a weird state, right? So like, we need to understand, like, right now it's getting to a place where almost like in the 60s, like in the 60s and stuff, where like people have to be like, nah, yo, y'all don't have our interests.
So we're gonna do what we gotta do
and stuff,
serious,
And then so pay attention, pay attention to the people that are gonna be, making announcements about who they're running for president and all that other stuff. And all that stuff is cool. You need to be a part of the electoral process and all of that stuff. And but at the end of the day, you gotta start one place. You gotta start at home first. You need to start in your community, your block, and the people around you, your family, how you raise your kids, how you do these things. That's what begins to have generational impact and stuff like that, right? The better you become as a person, the better your kids are going to become.
Absolutely.
The more the kids that you develop around you, the smarter you become, the more developed you become as a person, the better you can help the ones that are around you and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it all starts from home, from you, from the person and stuff, right? And then everything kind of builds out from there and stuff. So you have to, just you look at the grand picture, the big picture of things and stuff like that, but also scale it back a little bit. Think about, there's some people that, today is, ironically today is what? Martin King Day, right? So ironically you have, if you guys think back and you look at some history, Martin Luther King sat around a table just like this with like about 6 or 7, 8 people and said, you know what? We're about to get this march together, and we're gonna march over this bridge and stuff because we're gonna protest, something. We're gonna get together, to do this. We're gonna get together to do that. And it grew out to a point where he had enough power to change and a movement to be able to change legislation. Like he actually was on the phone with the president, and the dude was telling him, "Yo, you need to pass this legislation because we're not gonna stop and stuff." You know what I'm saying? So that should show you that, in small little rooms and tables and in churches and community, that's where the real power starts at and stuff like that. When people get together and start to have that impact and be that committed to doing things, then there's nothing that can stop us from doing what we need to do.
Facts.
BHWH is not, we're not just sitting on the table. We all really about this life. Like, Leo works with kids, and we all work with kids.
We still do.
We're not going to put a suit and a tie and sit on the table and be like, oh yeah, I'm the chair of this and CEO this. No, we really are in our communities, and that's what makes us different. Like, we roll up our sleeves, and we gave away 100 book bags and a barbecue last year. Like, I know she works with kids. I know she's working with high school. I know you're working with kids. Like, we're really there. Like,
that's what I'm most excited about is that we're touching more than one community. You know what I mean? We're touching the Bronx, Harlem, and Washington Heights. So is a lot of nonprofits touch. They just want to change one community, one area. We trying to touch multiple areas.
That's a fact.
Absolutely. So, I mean, as we wrap this up, I have one more question for Leo. For the viewers who want to help and become a part of this movement or just help out in their communities, what advice do you give? What direction can you point them in?
So the biggest challenge about a nonprofit, is always about fundraising, right? Mm-hmm. That's the hardest thing about these organizations, right? And that's the hardest thing for me and stuff because I have bills, all right? I have 2 kids, I have a mortgage, I have all these things. So I know it's hard and stuff. And to ask people like, yo, we need your support. Like, we need to be able to, fundraise to be able to purchase book bags and purchase, this and purchase blankets or donations and stuff like that. And, we want to do those things. That's the hardest thing and stuff, but I would say, nothing is too small and stuff, if you happen to cut back, and just say, look, I'm not gonna eat out today because I'm gonna use those $10 and put it in the BHWH GoFundMe thing, that's a huge help. That's a huge help. And then also not just financially, but also your presence too. Like, there's power in numbers and stuff, right? So we're gonna use this social media. Like, social media is a powerful tool. You see that this person that's in the presidency right now, you know, we don't like his
tweets.
message, we don't like all that, but he's using that platform in a very intelligent
Smart way,
to
yeah.
to galvanize his people and his backing and stuff like that. So we need to do the same thing, you know. So there is going to be a podcast, and we want you to follow that and look on that. We're all on social media. We're all going to be on iTunes. We're all going to be on Instagram and Facebook and all that. And so you'll be surprised how influential that is when we start having conversations with local politicians and stuff like that. And we say, hey, look, we have a 1,000 followers, 1,500 followers that on drop of dime we could say like, hey, you know, we support this candidate and stuff like that. And you'll be surprised how much, that starts to have influence on people and stuff like that. So, again, so if it's not financially, just make sure you're supporting, you're helping us, go viral. Like, we put out advertisements out. And so, if you can repost those things so they can gain, more interest, more eyes and things like that, repost them. And then, like things and support and stuff. And there's just so many ways that you can support and stuff like that. Always reach out to us. We'll be here, and just please kind of, join the movement and stuff.
Absolutely. What a better segue to introduce our social media page. Please follow us at BHWH Leadership Academy. That is our Instagram handle. Guys, I think we did a great job today speaking about all the events that we've covered, from the college preparation things, from the block parties, to a couple basketball tournaments we got in the works. Guys, any last remarks, any last statements? Be great.
Join the wave.
Join the wave before you drown. That's a fact. I think that's a wrap, guys. Good job, man. It's our first of many. Be on the tune. We have our second episode coming out this weekend. Our forum, Girls Talk, Ladies First. We have a bunch of smart, educated females, and they'll be providing their opinions on a bunch of conversations and topics that we have. That's a wrap, guys. Later.
Good night.